The jury had very specific instructions, though, for reaching a verdict in the sentencing trial.
We want to get more insight into this, so we're joined right now by Maria Schneider. She's been with us through this entire process, and she's a former Broward County Assistant State Attorney. And
Maria, of course, you've been with us throughout the process. Were you surprised by the verdict?
I was. Frankly, I was. I've seen a lot of, cases where the death penalty has been imposed. And I think that the question that keeps being asked, if not here, if not now, if not for this defendant, then for whom, is a very valid question. I cannot imagine how the families are feeling today. I'm sure that part of their anger and frustration is because they're reading this verdict as the jurors who voted this way thinking that Nicholas Cruz's life is worth more than the 17 lives that were taken for absolutely no reason. So I can feel their pain. I commiserate with them. And I think it's shocking that this is the way it's come to be. And the point about whether this affects people in the future is absolutely many-layered and correct. Not only is this sending a message to those who want infamy, that they can go ahead and do it, and as long as they don't fight when they're being taken into custody, they can survive and then enjoy the benefits of their newfound infamy. But it's also going to affect other cases. One of the things that is argued when the death penalty is being sought is whether it's proportional. And I think every person facing the death penalty is not going to have a proportionality argument. They're going to say, well, if the guy that killed 17 people didn't get death, then hey, I only killed 1 or 2. Why should I? So I think that this is the consequences or the outcome of this is going to be far-reaching.
Yeah, there will certainly be a lot of implications. Something else happened today. The judge did not officially sentence Cruz. Explain to us the process. Why is she waiting?
There is a constitutional right for victims in the state of Florida to be heard before a person is sentenced, regardless of the fact that the sentence has already been decided. That doesn't affect the fact that the victims have a right to express how the deaths have impacted them. Now, when they testify during the trial, testimony is very, very limited, whether it's in an actual fact-finding process of a trial or in the sentencing process. The testimony has to be limited to the factual repercussions of the offense on them. So if someone, is ill, if they, have injuries, they can talk about those things, but they can't talk about the pain. They can't talk about the emotional toll that the offenses have had on them. Those are the things that can only be talked about at sentencing or after, as someone is about to be sentenced. So now they will have their day in court. They'll be able to say what they want to say, whether they actually take advantage of that or not, knowing what the sentence is already, knowing that no matter what they say, there is absolutely nothing that can be changed. I don't know. They may choose not to, but at least they'll have the opportunity. And I think that that's what Assistant State Attorney Carolyn McCann was trying to do, was just trying to ensure that they have the opportunity should they wish to use it.
Maria, the law in Florida requires a unanimous verdict from 12 people to get them all on the same page. It does not allow for judicial override. In other words, the judge cannot say, no, I think that that's the wrong penalty. I should sentence this person to death. Does the law need to be changed? Can the law be changed in the state of Florida?
It's interesting that you say that. There is a recent case within the last year that actually says that they got it wrong, that the legislature got it wrong when they decided that a verdict has to be unanimous. The law has not been changed, but the interpretation of the law pursuant to our Florida Supreme Court has changed. So maybe the legislature will, in fact, take some action now. I don't know, and I'm certainly not in a position to propose that they do that in one way or another. But if there was anything that was going to spur the legislature to take a look at the sentencing provisions in effect right now, knowing that the courts have already said, we disagree with the fact that it has to be a unanimous verdict, then, the time would be now.
Yeah, that wouldn't affect this case and would bring comfort to the families here in Parkland. Maria Schneider, again, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney responded to the verdict, saying in part, quote, despite the fact that the defendant slaughtered 17 innocent people without any remorse, The jury chose to spare his life. I disagree with their verdict. In my opinion, every aspect of our criminal justice system collectively failed the families and the victims. Today, the victims' families were re-victimized.